You know, I used to get my magic from a djinn.
Because there's this creature, a djinn, and I have to hunt it.
Now I get it from whiskey. All right, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Nerds Drink Whiskey. I'm kind of following the same, sort of following a short little theme of low budget whiskeys.
Oh, this whiskey's not good enough to put in a glass.
Now, some of our favorites are Rebel Yell, was it Benchmark, and last week we I reviewed Point Rider Straight Bourbon, and this one is kind of an old favorite that for some reason we've never this show has never reviewed, whether with the whole gang or just me. But this is we were shocked we'd never reviewed Ezra Brooks Bourbon Whiskey Kentucky Sour Mash. So I'm making right by that right now. So, anyways, it's a bourbon that was seen in the movie Sting, The Sting. It is also Gary Oldman's character in Leon the Professional. Picked up a bottle, and it's been around for a long time. It is, as far as anyone can tell, it is currently a 100% sourced brand.
Oh, here it comes. Lots of explaining.
So it is actually from MGP, and so that means it is from Indiana, which is kind of like saying your whiskey is from Indiana, distilled in Indiana is, it's kind of like saying your picante sauce is made in New York City. You know, it's... but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. Distilling grain to glass is something to be proud of from a distillery, but distilling it isn't everything. That is only half the process, and there's a lot of brands out there that have done a lot of really great things with the aging process, and they just don't have distilling in their process. So they source their whiskey, and they get it in these big, huge tubs, and they age it. And so aging is a very important, filtering and aging and all that is very important, and can result in a completely different product. So you can have 6 whiskeys from the same distilled product from MGP, for example, and you'll have 6 completely different bourbons, 6 completely different whiskeys. So anyways, that's not necessarily glad. We like to make jokes about your whiskey was made in Indiana, but it's actually not as bad as a lot of people say. Now, I am wearing my shirt for Happy, a sadly canceled show on Sci-Fi, but which is, I believe, still available on Netflix. But this week's streaming pick, if you haven't noticed, is a show that my wife and I love called The New Legend of Monkey. It's, I don't know, it's kind of like a cross between, I don't know, a Mel Brooks movie, like if Mel Brooks tried to do, you know, a cross between Indiana Jones and Tarzan or something. It's I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing. It's hard to explain. But New Legends of Monkey on Netflix now. That's my streaming pick for the week.
I'm the Monkey King. I'm no good at running away. I'm unbeatable. I will protect you.
Monkey, your hands.
Now this is a problem I can solve.
I think what we should do now is find out what this has to offer on the nose.
All right, on the nose.
Instead of the maple that I've been getting on a lot of whiskeys lately, I'm actually getting more of a vanilla. Still a lot of spice because this is 90 proof, as opposed to the which is becoming kind of a new standard. The standard always used to be 80 proof, but a lot of whiskeys are coming out with 90 proof now, which I like better. So, very not very complex, but which you wouldn't expect for a whiskey that is just a couple dollars more than last week's. This seems to be about $12, which is still kind of scary for a lot of people. But I'm going to take the hit so you don't have to. I don't think anybody's going to go blind. Ezra Brooks has been around for a while. We're safe here. So anyways, this is Ezra Brooks. And it's time for me to drink a little whiskey. So Dark Helmet, do your thing.
Ludicrous speed.
Well, I gotta say, I there's not it isn't really complex. It's decent quality. It's not as sweet as some of the bourbons that I've been trying lately. It's got your typical, of course, 51% corn. It's got a little bit of rye in there and some barley. I think it's actually pretty heavy on the rye. And that 90 proof really packs quite a wallop. It does come on a little strong. So if you like a good strong bite, but it doesn't go into a burn, Ezra Brooks is a really good, very good choice for a low, expensive, low-priced, inexpensive, but still quality bourbon. It is not, I would not say it's a cheap whiskey by any means. To me, there's a difference between cheap and inexpensive. I think Ezra Brooks is inexpensive. It's not cheap. They've done some good things with what they got. Like I said, it's not really complex. They could have done some things, aged it in, maybe aged it a little longer. Of course, you got to age it in virgin oak.
By converting aging power stations into a field of hydroelectric towers.
They could have maybe finished it in a different, done some finishing in a different cask to add some flavor. They could have maybe changed the environment that they aged it in. They could have maybe done a different filtering process. But what they've got here is a very basic but very good, solid bourbon. And at only $12, you can't really expect much. But this is a good daily bourbon, a good after-work bourbon, and maybe a bourbon you take out when you get a bunch of friends over that they want to drink whiskey and they don't really have complex palates. Don't waste the good stuff on them. So just buy them some Ezra Brooks. It's still good quality whiskey. It's just at a very low price. So anyways, cheers. And I believe next week I'll be doing another blind bourbon taste test. So with the Ezra Brooks, the Point Rider, and the one behind me that my brother purchased for me. Metallica's Blackened. So we're gonna pit Blackened against two low-priced bourbons and see if I can tell which is which. So anyways, see you next week for another episode of Nerds Drink Whiskey.